UPS van showed up, so my dog was flipping out.
Mine is tucked away, and he's very upset that he's tucked away right now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for those of you that joined today's session. My name is Cynthia Thomas, and I'm going to be discussing burnout. And I refer to it as a plague because, as we know, in more recent years, it's kind of taken over. So I'm going to be discussing burnout, and then we're just going to take a light introduction to what it is and how we can deal with it as we maneuver our work lives. So today's agenda, I'm going to introduce myself. We're going to do a check-in. We're going to talk about what burnout is, what causes burnout, and how to prevent burnout. And then we're going to take a self-assessment, hopefully share out some thoughts and opinions, and then we're going to close our session today. A little housekeeping: if you are on your device, make sure that you're muted during the presentation. Use your virtual hand or your chat to engage in the conversation. Participate. There's going to be some opportunities to participate as a group, and most of all, have fun. I'd like to think that PDs should be fun, and if they're fun, you're able to take more away from it. So try to have some fun. So again, my name is Cynthia Thomas. I'm a visiting assistant professor in the Career and Technical Education Preparation Department on campus. Very long title, but basically I'm a CTE prep teacher, and I enjoy what I do. I am a licensed cosmetologist. I am a SUNY Oswego alumni, graduating from the same program that I teach for now. I have my instructional design certificate from Syracuse University. I'm a certified CTE teacher. I've spent 7 years as a K-12 teacher, a wife, mother, and so much more. But that's just a little bit about me. So let's dive right into our check-in. This is one of my favorite check-ins that I love to do when I host a PD. What is your go-to song? So take a few moments and think about a song that helps you get through a moment, shift your mood for the day, or helps you through some challenging times or moments throughout your life or throughout your day. Once you have that song in mind, you can post it in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and share it with us. Thank you, John, for that. For those of you that are on campus joining us, please feel free to participate. If you come closer to the screen, you are more than welcome to share out what your go-to song is, or if you have access to a device where you can post it in the chat, please do so as well. Last Resort by Papa Roach. I am not familiar. But what I'd like to do once people post, I kind of go and look up the songs just to make a connection. Time of My Life, okay. Okay, it's really heavy. All right, I'm gonna have to check the song out. Bach Concert for Two Violins. I'm assuming that the Bach is an instrumental, and that is something that I will check out. I like to listen to jazz and instrumental at night as I'm winding my children down. So that's worth looking into.
Cynthia, can you hear me?
I can. Who's speaking?
It's Jessica Harris. I am doing the one in person, so it's not John, it's me.
Yes.
So we do have 4 people in the room right now too.
Thank you so much.
Them to share or?
Yes, please.
Okay.
If they have something to share.
I would say Hymn for the Weekend by Coldplay.
Okay.
That's what I like. I'm just
Anyone else want to share? Or, all right, we got one more.
Okay.
I don't go for a particular song, but I listen to a lot of hip hop, especially if I'm tired.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm a hip hop head too, especially when I'm trying to focus. So
And we have another one as well.
Okay.
This isn't really my go-to song right now, but in the past it has been Bad by Michael Jackson. I do like to blast that one in my car when I'm running.
I like it. I may have to add that to my exercise playlist. That's a good one. My song is Optimistic. It's got 2 versions. If you listen to a lot of R&B back in the 90s, there's a version from the 90s, but I like the reversion of the song. It's by Brandy and Common, and it is my go-to song when I'm having one of those moments where I'm just down or need a little musical motivation. That is definitely my go-to song, so much so that my household, that's our go-to song. So mine is optimistic. Sugar, we're going down by the Fall Out Boy. Okay. Okay, thank you so much for you guys' responses. I am a music person in terms of shifting my mood. So I think it's very important to identify songs that uplift you and shift your mood as we go into our topic of burnout. So thank you all for sharing. I'm going to go ahead and transition. We're jumping right in. So what is burnout? This is a topic since COVID that we've heard a lot of. But during my research and putting this presentation together, I learned some new things about burnout, and I'll share them with you. But the Mayo Clinic defines burnout as a physical or emotional exhaustion that also involves a sense of reduced accomplishment and loss of personal identity. My definition for burnout, or at least the definition that resonated with me, is the WebMD version. And that says a form of exhaustion caused by constantly feeling swamped. And this form of exhaustion or burnout can be it can come from a number of ways. It can be as an employee, it can be as raising children, as just being a human here on earth. If you're involved in lots of organizations or doing a lot of things, all of those avenues can produce some form of burnout. During our session today, our burnout is going to focus strictly on work burnout, but a lot of the techniques and a lot of the symptoms and things of that nature can apply throughout any form of burnout. So I just want to make sure that that is clear up front. Little history or fun facts about burnout. Again, I thought burnout was something new that happened as a result of the pandemic, but throughout my learning, I discovered that psychologist Herbert Freudenberger coined the term burnout back in 1974 and has associated, well, back in 1974, the definition that he gave burnout was a state of mental or physical exhaustion caused by one's personal life. So if you didn't know, burnout did exist back in the 70s, and it has steadily came through the generations until now, where in 2019, the World Health Organization identified it as an actual condition. And I think that that is kind of perfect timing, because as we know, so many individuals have suffered from burnout since the pandemic, that for it to be coined as a condition back in 2019 is helpful, or was helpful for getting through the pandemic, because now you're able to seek some type of medical help or get medical care because it is an actual condition. And burnout surged, as we all know, during the COVID-19 pandemic. It went up to 76% of Americans felt burnout between 2019 and 2020, with 37% of those contributing their burnout to COVID and COVID-related life. So that is a lot of people that have experienced burnout. And if you were on the call earlier enough, some of us were discussing how we've either approached it or have dealt with it or are currently dealing with it. So if you are suffering from burnout, please do not feel like you're alone or something's wrong. This clearly is an issue that is a human issue. So the types of burnout that exist, there are 3 types of burnout. We have neglect, overload, and under challenge. Neglect burnout comes from being at work and not having a clear, defined objective. So you're working, but you don't know what you're working towards. And that type of burnout can wear on you, especially professionally. There's overload burnout, which I think is the most common, where you're taking on too much and you need to just pause and reorganize some things. And then there is under challenge burnout, where you're not being challenged enough within the workplace and you don't feel like you're working to your fullest potential. And that can cause burnout to set in as well. So what causes burnout? We've identified what burnout is and the 3 types that are there. Here are some of the causes. Lack of control. And again, this can be personal or professional. If you don't feel like you have control over your life or a situation, that can be a trigger for burnout. Excessive stress. I think we all know excessive stress is definitely a trigger for burnout. Extremes of activities can be a symptom for burnout. Dysfunctional workplace dynamics, I like to classify that as workplace drama, can definitely trigger burnout. Lack of social support. It's very important that we are spending time with our friends and our family. And if you are so busy in life where you don't have that, that can be a trigger. Unclear job expectations, as we defined in the previous slide. Emotional drain, if you are constantly in a state of emotional trauma or emotional stress, that can trigger burnout, and lack of a work-life balance. All these things and some more, I'm assuming, contribute or open the door for you to experience burnout. So the effects of burnout, you have physical burnout and you have internal burnout. So physical burnout are those things that people can see or that you can clearly identify. Depression is like the #1 physical burnout, so a physical symptom associated with burnout. Extreme fatigue, you're always tired, or your go-to thing is sleep when you are not having to be active and doing something. A negative perception of life, that impacts your self-esteem. A negative attitude, anger or resentment towards yourself, your job, your family, or your surroundings. Loss of inspiration, just loss of inspiration for life, for your job, for people you care about, or lack of self-care. I personally can tell you that when I've been in burnout, self-care and depression were the #1 things that affected me most. And I felt the impacts of them the most. Internal effects of burnout: high blood pressure, headaches, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, and unfortunately death. So the arrow is pointing to the internal, because when the physical becomes too much or out of control, then you start to experience the internal health effects of burnout. All of these things are not good on us as individuals. So it's very important that if you are in a situation where you may be burnt out or think you're approaching it, that you get a hold of it quicker, because you don't want to create those internal pockets of problems in addition to the physical. So presenting, yes, did someone have something to say? Okay, preventing burnout. It's very important that to prevent burnout, you take a moment to identify areas of weaknesses or triggers that can cause you to spiral into a space where burnout can happen. Once you've identified some of those areas, it's important that you take a moment to reflect for yourself and see how you can change the trajectory of those triggers. Rest, daily rest, not excessive rest, but making sure that you're getting those 6 to 8 hours every night. That's a part of that self-care regimen. When you are feeling rested, you have the energy and the clear mind to go forth with your day better. A healthy diet is another one of those self-care things that contributes to burnout if you're not practicing healthy habits. Exercise, a newfound thing for myself this 2023 year, definitely helps to reduce stress, put things into perspective, and again, prevents you from getting to burnout. Enjoying life. I think this is something that is so important, especially since the COVID pandemic. Taking a moment to enjoy the moment that you're in, whether it be with friends, family, by yourself, in life. If you're having a moment where it's happy, really taking time to suck that up and just live in that moment without the worry of everything else. That is vitally important. And connecting spiritually. If you are a spiritual person, connecting to your spirituality is another thing that helps you to prevent burnout. And then a healthy work-life balance. I know that we've seen work-life balance a couple of times throughout our slides. I'm going to take a moment to just elaborate on what work-life balance is. So work-life balance is an equilibrium state where one effectively balances work and career demands against those in their personal life. When you do have a healthy work-life balance, your social emotional health is intact, your physical health is intact, you're mindful and you're open in your thinking. You have the dark cloud versus the silver lining. Are you an optimistic or a pessimistic? When your life is balanced with work and life, you're more optimistic in your thinking and your approach to what you do. A growth mindset, again, the same. You're open to your approach to what you think and what you do, and you experience mental clarity. For those of you who have had writer's block, or you just have no more to mentally give in your careers, this could be because of burnout or because of a lack of a work-life balance. So again, as I said on the previous slide, it's important to just take a moment, identify some things, reflect, and then restructure. So we are at the point in our session where we are going to do our burnout self-assessment. So if you have a smartphone, feel free to grab it If not, I will be posting a link in the chat. And this is a quick, I believe it's 10 to 15 questions, if I'm not mistaken, to assess whether or not you are at burnout, approaching burnout, or if you're in the clear zone where you've managed life and you have some of these strategies in place already where you're not approaching burnout. So again, you can scan the QR code with your mobile device, or I will be posting a link shortly. We'll have 10 minutes to complete this quiz. So you can take a moment and really reflect and dig deep inside yourself to do this self-assessment. Once you have completed your quiz and you have your results, I'm asking that you all post your results on the Padlet. So the link is going to take you to a Padlet. You'll see my results are already on there. If you'd like to add the results with your name underneath mine, that way we can have some participation and some reflection. That would be great. And then also on the Padlet, you will see 4 additional columns, 3 of which give you resources for where you stand in burnout. So again, if you're not at burnout, there is a column for you to explore resources of how to keep that going. If you are approaching burnout, there is a column of resources for you to review to stop from getting to burnout. And if you are already at burnout, there are some resources for you to help reverse that. There is also a column with additional resources where you can print out a version of this self-assessment, and anything else that you would like to share with the group can be posted inside of that section. So I'm going to take a few moments and put this link in the chat for you all, and we can get started. And again, if you've already scanned it, the QR code, feel free to start your self-assessment. The link is in the chat. I'm going to start the timer and we'll go ahead and get started. Oops, my apologies.
Cynthia,
Yes.
I'm not finding, I'm seeing all the places to do it, but I'm not finding where the quiz is.
Under the first section where it says burnout quiz, do you see that?
Yep, take this self-assessment, yep.
If you click on the mindtools.com picture or the link there, it should redirect you to the quiz.
Okay.
Are you on the Padlet?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know if that works.
Okay. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. We are at the 5-minute mark. Please let me know if you need any assistance with any of the resources, posting your responses, or if you are done. We are approaching our last minute of our self-assessment time. So if we would like to wrap up our article reading, and we'll join back in about a minute to share out our results and conclude our session. All righty. So thank you so much for taking the time to do your self-assessment and post your results. I've been keeping an eye on the Padlet. I do see some results, and it looks like it's safe to say everyone, for the most part, is at some form of burnout. And I think that that is a safe number to say. And I think that that is very transparent of you all to post your results here. Did anyone want to share out any thoughts, opinions, concerns, something new that they learned or took away from the reflection and the resources that they used? I will start the share out if I will start to share out. Again, what I told you all that I have been at burnout some way, shape, or form. Something that helped me, I took this quiz back over the summer, and definitely my numbers were very high. And something that helped me, or that I identified, is that I wasn't taking enough time for self-care, and I wasn't taking enough time to love Cynthia. I was giving out more than I was putting in. My tank was empty. So I started to find ways to just pour into myself, whether that be taking a moment to exercise or eating right, not because I'm on the go and I don't have time, but just because it's important for me, or taking a moment to walk in the park. I enjoy walking in the park, or going to sit by the water. All of those things are things that pour into me and refuel me so I can continue to give out. And I've noticed that that approach has helped to reduce my stress and reduce my burnout. And I've also been taking a journey of exploring boundaries and applying strategies to putting healthy boundaries in my life so I don't revisit burnout again. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to contribute?
I don't think that my number is that high right now, but if I had filled this out maybe a year ago, it would have been off the charts. Just looking at the questions and knowing what I would have picked, I probably want to redo it and answer it with the mindset of how I was feeling, and just to see how bad it was.
Well, I have a question. You said that they would have been higher a year ago. What shifted within the year that today made your numbers lower?
Because of COVID, most of my workload was doubled with no change in salary, or actually we lost staff. So everything I taught in person, I also taught online. I never did high flex, so I taught everything twice.
Oh.
And I also planned our summer camps online and in person. So everything was doubled, and then most of it never happened. So it was a lot of work that just was just nothing. And I started to think it was just pointless.
Okay.
And those things don't happen anymore. So I'm like, oh no, I don't feel bad, but it was ridiculous.
I could only imagine. Only imagine. Well, thank you for sharing out. I can't see who shared out, but thank you for sharing.
It was Casey.
Thank you. Does anyone else have something they'd like to share or contribute?
I find writing my thoughts down, sometimes sharing them, sometimes not, but just spending some time writing helps me put into words the way I'm feeling. And when I read it back, I can look at it kind of from a second person view and think about what I would advise somebody else to do based upon what I'm saying. So I find writing helps.
And I will piggyback off of Jan. I do follow Jan on social media, and her writings help me to help make sense of some of the thoughts or feelings that I experience. So I appreciate being in spaces where people are transparent and sharing their thoughts, because it helps to reduce some feelings that I'm having, which again can trigger burnout. So journaling helps. And if you are a journaler, I encourage you to share your thoughts, because your thoughts can be helpful to others that may not have the courage to, or even the phonetics to put it together for themselves. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share out?
sometimes I think some of what I share, I'm too transparent because I'm, some people would call me an oversharer. But the way I look at it is if you don't feel so alone, it's not so overwhelming.
Very true.
So sharing it with other people, you get a lot of people. I shared something, as Cynthia knows, on social media a couple days ago about being, I have clinical depression. I've been on medication for 25 years, and I shared that, and that I've been struggling a little bit lately, and what I'm doing about it. And it's, I was shocked at the number of people that private messaged me or called me to tell me that they've been going through the same thing, or that they've been on medication for a long time and never felt they could tell anybody it because they felt they were so different. And so just by sharing that and helping people realize they're not alone, it also makes me not feel alone when I share it. And I don't like the feeling that I'm hiding something from somebody. So that's why sharing feels comfortable to me, because I'd rather people know who I am as much as possible than to feel like I'm not, that people don't know who I am, that I'm some different persona than they think I am.
Yeah, I can agree. I'm a very transparent person.
I like to share similar with students to let them know that I've taken medication for anxiety for maybe 25 years now. A lot of times students look at me and think that I'm always in a good mood, and they're like, wait, how can you have anxiety? You present all the time. So I like to let them know that it doesn't always look the same for everybody, and that there's no stigma, and it's more common than you think. And also that struggling with mental illness can make a big difference in your life. Like, people who know me probably wouldn't describe me as mean or strict or some of those things. In my first teaching job, I only had a 1-year contract because they felt that I was very cruel to the students. And that, if you know me now, you're just be like, serious? And it was out of anxiety and fear in the classroom. So trying to control the classroom because I was worried they might say something about my appearance, or if I like erased the board, I was afraid that they would laugh at me. So how much I changed as a human and in my career with one silly little pill, that I'm just like, wow, more people should know about this.
Well, the other thing I think about medication is that so many people feel like there's such a stigma. And the thing is, the way I look at it, and I've described it this way to other people, is that my husband's diabetic, and he's type 2. So with type 2 diabetes, it's your pancreas that's not working correctly. It's still producing insulin, but one of two things is happening. It's either not producing enough, or the receptors aren't working well that need to receive the insulin. So long story short, the brain is the same way. It's just another organ that in a lot of cases, the hormones just are not balanced correctly. For me with the depression, I make serotonin, but the receptors in my brain don't work well at receiving the serotonin. So the medication helps those receptors work. It's not that there's something horribly wrong with us, like that we were mistreated or abused. I mean, that may be the case for some people, but for a lot of people with mental health issues, it's simply, it's another organ in our body. It's another part of our physical being that doesn't always work right. And so we take medication to fix it. And just like nobody would want my husband to be deprived of the medication to keep his pancreas working to keep him alive and keep him healthy, I don't think we should want anybody to be embarrassed and not take medication for something that your brain's not doing that it's supposed to.
Absolutely.
There's my 2 cents.
No, I agree with your 2 cents. I think that having those transparent moments in the classroom help to just allow your students to see that you're human. Like, we're all human. We're all suffering in some way, shape, or form. And even with this, the self-assessment that we did, just seeing that numbers were just high, we're all going through stuff. And it's okay to show that, and it's okay to ask for help. And it's okay to put yourself in a space where you're taking care of yourself. Even if that, again, like Jan said, that could be medication, it could be boundaries, it could be utilizing your no more, whatever it is that is putting you in that space where you're taking care of yourself. It's good because when people see that you're taking care of yourself, they will see the importance of taking care of themselves. And it's not a taboo thing. And it's something that should be embraced more. Like we're humans. We can't keep going and going and going. Eventually we're going to tap out. So I thank you all for your comments. Does anyone else have anything more to share? It's such a great discussion. I don't want to rush it along if someone has more to contribute.
I'm reading
right.
I'm reading a great book. It doesn't really have to do with mental health, but it's about the story of a young woman going through cancer, and actually the first half is her journey through the illness, but the second half is her journey transitioning back to being a more normal person again, and how difficult that was. She was diagnosed at age 22, so she spent most of her early adulthood sick. And what I like that she was on a bus one day, and she was sitting, and there was an older woman standing, and some guy got really nasty with her about the fact that she was sitting and this older woman was standing. And what they didn't know is she had just come off of some major chemo, and she was super weak. She looked normal. And that's the thing that I think we all forget, is that people look normal, but you have no idea what battles they're fighting, physical, emotional, whatever, in their lives. So you just have no idea what's going on for anybody else at any one time.
It's very true. Very true.
It's called Between Two Kingdoms if you're looking for a book to read.
You want to post that in the chat, Jan?
Sure.
Perfect. All right, I am going to get ready to wrap us up. So at the beginning of our session, we talked about our go-to song, and we all identified some really great songs that I'm going to circle back and take a listen to. But I wanted to start our session and end our session with our go-to song, because it's important that when we're in those moments in life where we're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or have no control, that we have something in that moment that we can lean on to kind of circle us back and get us through until we can make some permanent adjustments. So the song is here. If you are in those moments where you're feeling like the burnout is getting the best of you, whatever category of burnout it is, go to your go-to song. Or if you don't have a go-to song, you just have that song that some of you identified, utilize that as a tool in your personal self-care bucket to help offset those burnout moments, those burnout days, or leading to an actual burnout plague. Before we end, I am posting a link in the chat. If you all could take a few moments, there's a 4-question survey. I'd like to know how I did and how we can improve as we move forward. I'd really appreciate your feedback. And thank you so much for your time. It was fun.
Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome. Have a great rest of your day. Have an amazing
Thanks,
weekend.
Cynthia.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.